And I don't say like, just believe that God is your father. Like, yeah, everybody knows that. But like to actually like believe that in your heart and to actually become content with the fact that like whatever happened is like dust in the wind. You know what I mean? Like he's my dad, he's my God, you know, and he's enough for me.
Hello and welcome back to the Gen Free podcast. Can a little round of applause, please? Whoa, I can't speak English. Please. It is I, your host once again, Ayana, and then we have
Sawyer Robertson, co-host of the Gen Free podcast. I'm still here again.
I'm not going to talk about this.
All right,
you go.
I'm Mia.
Whoa, it's Mia.
Yep.
You, the Mia. Whoa. And then
Alexi. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say something, then say your name, but this is Lexi. She's extremely special and beautiful and kind.
Thank you.
And she's filled with wisdom. And,
I'm kidding.
and we have her here today. Hello, Lexi. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about myself. I'm 25. I have 2 cats. Love them dearly. And just love the Lord. Happy to be here. Long-time listener, first-time guest.
Heck yeah, man.
Really
Girl, you've
excited.
listened to this.
Yeah, all of the episodes.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh,
Every
wow.
Wednesday at noon, I'm here.
We got
I'm
a
here.
certified fan base.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
my
do. You
goodness.
do. I
Hi.
swear, I'm not lying.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, for real.
And we've brought a viewer on to be a guest.
Yeah.
So Jeff, we can bring you on.
I forgot Jeff existed. My bad.
Jeff makes a return in season 2.
Finally, how many episodes in are we in season 2? And now we're mentioning Jeff again?
No idea.
I don't know.
I don't count.
Doesn't matter. Well, we have a very magical
I'm not really
topic
a
for
math
you.
guy.
Uh-huh.
We have a very magical topic for you to discuss today. You know what topic
Give
this
the
is?
name.
I do.
You want to
Give the
say it?
name.
Here, you want to say it?
Divorce.
Yay! Wait, is that like the sparkler button? So we're supposed to
Yeah.
do it again. Divorce.
It's a stupid
Well,
joke.
to be specific, surviving parental divorce.
Yeah.
But that'd be a lot to put on the board and a lot to like announce with sparkles.
Yeah, and there's a
Right.
bomb on there for some reason.
Oh, bomb.
Mia said it was because the marriage exploded.
Yes.
It blew up.
It's quite a sad way of putting it, but
Ah, it
you're
happens.
not wrong.
You're not wrong.
It's limited emojis available to put on the board. So
Yeah.
Let me see.
It's fine, dude.
We should have put the monkey.
I actually quite like the bomb.
Yeah. Make it funny, man.
There's a present on there.
There is a how is divorce a gift? I guess it could for some people. It sounds awful.
A gift.
I don't know.
No. Like what if your wife's abusive?
Mhm.
It could be
Yeah.
gift of divorce. Okay, anyways,
Yeah.
that's not what we're here talking about.
Yeah. I'm not for that.
You're not pro divorce.
No. I'm not here to talk about abuse.
Yeah, she's not pro.
No, we're here for
Yeah.
we're here for
Divorce. Gosh. Do you like the SpongeBob imagination with
Is
the
this
rainbow?
gonna be like the soup thing all over again when you
Oh
guys
my
just
goodness.
kept talking
Oh my
about the
goodness.
soup?
it's gonna be divorce.
We love noodles. Yes.
I guess the new rules. We gotta hit it every time someone says divorce. Yeah, that's gonna be the rule of this episode.
let's
So it's up to you two. Hey, we gotta lighten up the topic. It's a little heavy.
Okay.
It's okay.
I mean, it's just a lot of sparkles. But
Yeah.
But who doesn't like sparkles? What do you have
Me?
against sparkles?
I hate glitter. Glitter sucks.
Can you shut up? No one asked you. I asked Mia. All right. Well, since obviously you haven't been married before,
Right.
Neither have I.
could you just share us how?
Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, I said you haven't been married before, so I didn't insinuate anything that you're not married. I just
Right.
said you haven't been married before,
Right.
So you never had a divorce.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
I mean, do you have a guy?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was just asking you because he's so. Anyways,
tread careful.
Love Boat Season 2 has returned.
Yeah.
I'll pray for your husband.
Okay. Thanks. Do you have a question?
Yes. Sorry. I was going to say that. So, how?
I felt like I was pinned for a second. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Stop.
It's all right. I'm sorry. That wasn't good. I was trying to loosen it up. I think
What's
I made it
happening?
tighter.
Okay.
All
I
right.
think you did.
What is your testimony revolving around the topic of divorce?
Divorce?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So just to kind of give you some background on me, I wasn't really raised in the church. I kind of went to church when I sung in the choir, and that was about it. Like that was just an activity my mom made me do. Well, I guess I should back up. My parents got divorced when I was like 2. So I have no real recollection of like even them married. And what I don't know a ton, but I know it was bad. My dad struggles with addiction. And my mom doesn't know the Lord. So obviously things were not handled well. So basically I wasn't raised in the church, and basically growing up, I lived with my stepdad and my mom, and my mom had 2 kids with him, my brother and my sister. Love them to death. And basically just lived in that family. And I think growing up, I can see how much it affected me in a way of being like, not feeling like I belong. You know what I mean? And in that time frame, especially early childhood, my dad was not in the picture. And I didn't understand why. Nobody really told me. Didn't really understand. So there was a lot of feeling neglected, feeling abandoned, and those kind of things. I don't think I would have been able to verbalize that.
Yeah.
But I think I would have. But now looking back, there's so much of my life that I can see how that stuff ruled me. Does that make sense? Am I shaking? I'm sorry.
A little.
Okay. I feel like, I don't know why, as soon as I started talking. Anyway.
Well, I mean,
okay.
and I understand what you're saying about like I had even mentioned it last episode about like what's on the throne of your heart, and that worry about like abandonment might have like taken a hold on you, and wondering like why, and that might have became your identity rather than having it in God as you do now.
Yeah.
And it can definitely affect children. Like there's a statistic out there, I don't know exactly what it is, but like a major proportion of like criminals have only one parent in the household, and with one abandonment, and it's an extremely hard thing to go through. And I can attest to it. I have both my mom and dad, but I've seen it affect.
Lucky. No, I'm joking.
Dude, honestly, it's how you deal with it sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
you
laugh
just
through
gotta like laugh through it, make everybody else a little uncomfortable.
It's the fun
You'll
of
be
it.
fine.
It's the fun of it.
Yeah. And I've seen it affect my cousins since I've been close with them all my life, and that has happened in their family. But being there to support them has been very important to me, seeing it affect each of the members of that family.
Yeah.
But
go on.
Yeah, so abandonment and neglect. But yeah, so I think like that kind of stuff really ruled my life. Like, and I'm 25 now, and I'm just now like really getting over that stuff, like through the Lord. You know what I mean? So I think, where am I? So I'm a kid, that happens. And then around 13 or 14, my dad's back in my life at this point, and he invites me to come here to church. And like I said, I thought church was boring. You know, I didn't necessarily not believe in God, but I was like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
And he invited me to church. I said no. And I didn't say no, I lied. I said I was sick. I wasn't sick. And then I felt so guilty because I lied to get out of church that I decided to go. And I just remember that day, Adam was just talking about like identity and like the fall and like what Adam and Eve's sin did to this world, and the fact that there's an enemy and that's why there's evil in the world and all of this stuff. And I just remember being like, that's the reason for like the evil in the world. Like that's the reason that I've experienced the kind of pain that I have and the kind of loss that I had. Because I remember like when I was a little kid and not understanding why my dad wasn't around, I would just cry in bed at night and just beg God, like, why is this happening? So to actually have an answer and to be like, oh, the enemy is like a jerk, you know? And so so then I went home and I just started reading my Bible. I started in Genesis. I was like, let's get this party started. And yeah, like 6 or 7 months later, I got water baptized here at Praise in the baptismal that is now dead.
It caught fire.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, and I got baptized. And then I'm kind of giving you more background on me just because I feel like what I'm about to touch on, like, gives, like, really sets up what the Lord was trying to do in my life the whole time. But so after that, I went to a youth conference in March of 2013. And Will Hart was speaking, and he just said, I don't remember what he talked about, but at the end, he said, like, if you are feeling anything in your body, like, come forward and we'll pray for you, kind of thing. And I was like, my heart was pounding and my hands were really cold. It was weird. And I was like, well, I'm not going up front. What are you talking about? And so I stayed there for a second, and he said it again, and I'm watching people go for it, and people are falling and crying, and I'm like, I don't know about all this. And then again, he says it again. He says, come forward if you feel something. And I was like, okay, I need to go. I didn't go forward. I literally stood up and just stepped to the end of my aisle and just stood there. I was towards the back of the room. Yeah. And I just remember standing there with my eyes open. Everybody else was going like this. So I was like,
I'll do it.
I guess I'm like this. So I'm on the back left side of the room, and Will is towards the front right. And he's praying for people, and he sees me, and he makes a beeline towards me, like walks by a bunch of other kids, like just to pray for me. And like, I remember I must have looked scared because he said like, it's okay. And he just like prayed for me and like said, Phil. And I just remember in that moment, I just felt the presence of God, and just like at that point I had given my life to him, but to know him as like, he was this close, and like he's the God of the universe, and he cares about me, you know, and he loves me. And then the next night they call for ministry time, and I'm like, I'm in, like whatever this is, like I'm in. And I go to the front again, and they kind of ask like any adult of the same sex, go to the front of the room if you feel called to pray for one of the students up front. And this woman comes in front of me or behind me, and I turn around, and she goes, the only thing that I heard when I saw you was my beautiful daughter, my beautiful daughter, my beautiful daughter. And I fell apart, you know? And so I say all that to say, like, my first real interactions with God were like him calling me his own, you know what I mean? That nothing that had happened in my life that made me feel neglected or abandoned or anything like matters, you know? And I think back to that moment, especially now, like 10 years into my relationship with the Lord, and I see that so clearly, that he was like, all this time, like, you are mine. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to get that. Yeah. But that's kind of like the long and short, specifically, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I can attest to, like, how you said, like, when you were a kid, you thought that church was boring. I grew up in, it was like a spiritually dead church. We, like, read the Bible, but we didn't pursue any of it. And, like, I was, like, me and my sisters were, like, one of the only groups of kids our age, and there weren't any, well, there were younger kids in the church, but they were like little, so we didn't have any like fellowship and community besides like people that were much older than us, and it just it made it hard on Sunday mornings to get up and go without feeling like the struggle and just like an attack against us for going from like boredom or not wanting to go. Whereas there's a difference in like going to a church where you have people your age and have fellowship and are able to make relationships with others, which we do have now. So yeah, I just feel like that's so important when you're looking for a church for yourself to find a place where you can build fellowship with people that are your age and will have similar experiences to you, and that they can sow into your life. And even in the hardest of areas, like going through broken homes and you're able to have a commonality in that, but also be able to chase after what God has for you in those areas.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was something God gave me after listening to you. So
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Y'all both have 2-parent homes, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there no one else that doesn't have a 2-parent home? Well, besides me, but like in this whole group. I'm sorry, I'm looking around the interns. Wow.
Yeah,
I
I
gotta
got
stick together, huh? No, I'm kidding.
Just because I still have Rusty doesn't mean
Rusty is excellent. Rusty, leave my man Rusty alone.
we love Rusty.
Yeah, we love Rusty and Trina.
His birthday was the other day.
Oh, how old is
Amazing.
he?
40s.
Your dad's in his 40s?
How
How old did you think he was?
There's no way. Your dad's in his 40s.
Almost
I thought he was
50s.
older.
Well, he's not in his 50s yet?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They're still in their 40s.
All right. I'm just like so surprised because my mom just turned 55.
Your mom's 55?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Rhoda looks good. Oh my.
Yeah,
I didn't know
that's
that.
crazy.
Yeah, good for you,
My
brother.
grandmother had my mom when she was like 40. So
Mm.
my grandmother would be like,
Your grandma's
she'd be
old.
like 95 or
Oh, she
96.
would be.
Yeah, she passed
Oh.
away a couple of years ago.
I'm
but
sorry.
It's all right. She lived a good life. She's been with the Lord.
That's good.
Yeah, and when you live like
Right.
a long and fruitful life, I wouldn't like when the Queen died, I was like,
What does this have to do with divorce?
No, tangent. When the Queen died, she lived a long and fruitful life. Like she
Right.
was very, very old.
Right.
I don't think it was sad. Like people were so upset that the Queen died.
Well, we're not
But-
British, so maybe they have it differently in Britain.
No, but they're like she lived a long and fruitful life.
People were kind of happy when she died in their own country too.
Oh my.
Like, you guys
Yeah.
saw?
Yeah.
Yeah, the coverage was interesting. You got one side like, long live the Queen. The other side like, oh no, now her son's gonna take over. Ah!
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Divorce.
divorce. That was an interesting tangent.
You're welcome.
Got a question for you.
Sure.
So, oh my goodness, this is chaotic. What an interesting topic to be
I'm sure
chaotic
it's
about.
fine.
Um, did you have any insecurities that came out of? I know you kind of. I feel like you kind of touched a little bit on it, just not feeling like you belong. But any like insecurities that stemmed from not having your biological father in the home, because you did say you were raised by your stepdad.
Yeah.
Do you have a good relationship with?
With my stepdad?
Yeah.
He's no longer my stepdad.
Oh.
But I like when I talk about him, like my childhood, like he never made me feel like I was not his kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I'm so thankful for that because there's so many horror stories of like people just feeling like the Cinderella story. For God's sake,
pretty much.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and I never felt like that. So, yeah. So with him, we're all good. He's just not married to my mom anymore. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the reverse side, from the beginning of the question, what stemmed from not having
sorry.
No,
Yeah,
but
No, you're good.
that kind of made me a little sad. But anyways, give me a second. Any like specific insecurities that stemmed from not having your biological father?
Yeah.
present?
I mean, like the neglect I talked about and just kind of feeling like there was a lot of fear that came from that too. And I think I was a really big people pleaser, to be honest. Like I just wanted to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Because if everybody was happy, then everything was calm. Or so I believed. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
and everything was calm and like he couldn't go off the wall, so to speak. So if I was just a good girl and didn't cause anybody any problems, then which wasn't true. Things happened despite me.
Yeah.
But I think you can kind of feel, especially in divorce, like you're not made to feel like it's you. Like nobody ever, I don't know anybody that their parents sat down and were like, it's you. That's why we're divorcing.
This is your fault.
You know, but I don't know anybody that's happened to, but I think the experience of divorce and even just like holidays apart and you're going to 4 different homes on Thanksgiving, like even that can make you feel like, well, I'm not with this person and I'm not with that person. And you kind of feel pulled and almost like, kind of like it's your fault that you can't be everywhere at all times. And in reality, your situation is not your fault.
Yeah.
This is just a product of your situation.
Because your parents divorced, you said, when you were little.
Yeah.
Did you have visitations like later on?
Yeah. So like I said, early on, my dad really wasn't around a ton. When I was early teens, he was back in my life, and I would kind of do the every other weekend kind of thing with him, sometimes on Wednesdays. And then that became more prominent after I gave my life to the Lord. And he got remarried and had 2 more brothers for me.
So cute.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the best. But yeah, so I had a lot more interaction with him at that point in my life, just later in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a lie from the enemy about like what we were talking about earlier, how like the enemy lies to you and tells you that it's your fault and that it's based on your behavior, where it almost has nothing to do with you, and that it's between like the relationship, but he turns that and it makes you feel like you're the one responsible, and that it's due to your behavior that things are this way, where as it's most likely not. And like you said, I can't think of a situation where it would be solely the kid's fault for anything between the relationship between the parents. And I feel like that's so important to know when dealing with something like this, that it is not your fault.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think just speaking to all of the lies, like that's how, like, and sorry, words.
No, you're good.
Just speaking to the all the lies, like that's just the number one tactic of the enemy. Like, because on paper, like my childhood wasn't terrible. Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't terrible. And I think so in that, the enemy really twisted a lot of my thoughts and what I believed about myself and my self-worth. So when with the Lord, like the Lord is really taking me on this journey of, like I said before, like of you're mine. Like that's what defines you, not the fact that your dad wasn't there, or that, or that you were a product of a broken home and now like your families are broken and you're a sibling and a daughter here, but you're also a sibling and a daughter here. And these two things never come together.
Yeah.
But just really getting to know the Lord in that aspect. And I don't say like, just believe that God is your father. Like, yeah, everybody knows that. But like to actually like believe that in your heart and to actually become content with the fact that like whatever happened is like dust in the wind. You know what I mean? Like he's my dad, he's my God, and he's enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there still had to be like a lot of repair in that aspect, as you said. I know for me, I'm still going through it. Are you still like, are you saying you're still kind of going through that process?
Yeah. And I think, even recently, even like 2 weeks ago, Brian came to the gathering and I got set free from like a fear of rejection. That ruled my life, like feeling like just every day, like that stuff would rule me. So I think just getting to know God in that way and letting him see the hard things, like understanding that like he doesn't need you to be perfect when you come to him. Because I think that was like the people pleasing mentality of just being like, everything's fine, but it wasn't. And I wasn't fine. But just actually when you get alone with the Lord and just being like, this is it, and he's not afraid of that, and I think just letting him minister to you like that. And then also letting people in on it, like I had to go to Brian and say like, I need prayer, and I had to go to my mentor and say, this is what's going on. I had to tell my best friend. Yeah. Betsy Coldiron.
Betsy's
the legend herself. Yeah. She's the best.
While we were at Love the Hill, we were all talking in the New York accents. We were all calling her Ma.
Oh yeah, she said you guys were doing that. Yeah, that's awesome.
I did see those pictures.
Oh my God, they are funny.
This is absolutely random, but it does have to do with the topic. But I'm gonna go there. It might be a hard topic because it's something that God's been bringing up with me. Like, first of all, my parents were never together. Big stuff kind of happened, and I showed up in the worst predicament ever.
Or the best predicament.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
God got you here. That's all.
God got me here. But
Yeah.
awful circumstances. But do you think that due to the rejection you felt by someone who wasn't even there, which is also kind of interesting, wasn't there?
Yeah.
How it's interesting how kids could like feel rejected by someone who's just absent. Like no idea who this person is at some point, and yet you still feel that. Still feel it in your heart. But do you think it's influenced your view on relationships and friendships, specifically romantic relationships?
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. And I think, to be perfectly and candid with you, I'm 25 and I've never been in a relationship. And,
Neither have I.
You're 18.
Unless you count elementary school.
We don't count elementary. Continue.
But yeah, I think that it did, and especially just with my relationship.
Sit down over
No, I was just messing.
But specifically with my relationship with just men in general has just been weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes it can feel like this like need for like approval, but then it's also like this fear of like, but if I let you too close, you know what I mean? If I let you too close, then that means like if I start to care about you, then that means you can hurt me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm working on too with the Lord, to just be like, okay, so if we're really done with this, what's next kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it also gives me the opportunity to really walk that freedom out. You know what I mean? And really believe that God did work.
Yeah.
I think that's so good. Like sometimes when you're praying for something or believing for something and you don't necessarily see the fruit of it, or like you're listening to thoughts that might tell you didn't actually happen, stepping out in faith and believing that and actually asking the Lord, like, this is done, what is next? That's so awesome. And I think like I've just really been hearing that a lot in the people I've been listening to, or just even the Lord has been really highlighting that to me. I think it's so good. Like it's so important to edify people and encourage them and be like, nobody has to, like, you have permission for this to be signed, sealed, and delivered. Like he said, it is finished on the cross. Yeah. You have the permission.
And we do have the permission, but for me, it's still a journey. Like I'm on that like same feeling. Not to like, hard. I get what you're saying, but
it's hard, dude, because when you've been ruled by, I don't want to cry, but like,
you can cry.
Like it's just more of just like,
we've all cried.
It's like when you've been ruled by that stuff, you know what I mean? And like, that's been the radio in your head and how you've even perceived life. Like, I get it, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not perfect, and I still have a lot to walk through and work through, but yeah, I would say to you, Ayana, it's just like the Lord, he knows what you need and like he cares, you know what I mean? So just go after that stuff with him. Like I said before, like he's not afraid of it, you know what I mean? And just saying like, I had to be like that. I had to be like, okay, God, like I'm really tired of this ruling my life. And it took 6 months in prayer to really be at a place with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just say like he's not afraid of it, Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that.
Yeah.
I do know that. But it's just like, this is such an interesting topic to talk about. I mean, mine wasn't necessarily a divorce, but it was separation.
Yeah.
And
it still affects you the same way. Like there just wasn't as much paperwork involved.
Yeah. It just kind of happened. Oh, also child support's done. I'm no longer getting that. Let's celebrate. Wasn't much, but I'm sorry, no. I just thought that was funny because literally last week I got the letter in the mail and it's like child support's over. I'm like, oh no, I can't.
That's a whole nother thing. Like, just parents, leave your kid out of it. Like,
honestly,
money's not their issue.
Yeah, really isn't until it is.
Yeah,
until it is. It depends. It depends. But I know that, and it doesn't really affect me as much as it used to. But it is, that's why I asked you the relational element, because it really does. And even what my mom...
Affects you in that too?
Oh, yeah. Because what I realized, my mom started combating this with me. Not combating this idea with me. She's like, I really think there's a fear in your life and around a lot of girls in certain like similar situations of dating, being in relationships because of how men have treated them. So like for background, my father, not really good. We call occasionally, but he's usually like drunk or upset, and it's a mess.
Yeah.
And like I remember being little, he'd call me. Can I say a bad word and we just bleep it out? Like, should I spell it in
do
the
you
air?
need to say it if it?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Because it's in the concept that he used to call me a slut and stuff like that, even as a kid.
Wow.
And so like
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, I get what you're saying because like I've done the same thing, but like I'm sorry. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
but what I realized is, and especially now that I'm a Christian and now like God's been working through certain things with me like that, is girls especially have a narrative, like especially if they hear things from their own father. It affects identity and it affects how you view yourself and how you carry yourself and how you act.
Yeah.
So for me, that insecurity was based on like what I found God saying to me recently, even through other people, is just proclaiming that I am beautiful and I'm not these certain things that were passed on, which is why I kind of essentially asked you that question, because I was interested to see it. It's just so interesting how the enemy can sometimes just twist things in that direction. I'm sorry I cussed, but it's
and I've seen girls be affected by
that was not the word I was expecting to come out.
It wasn't what I expected.
It was an intense word. It's okay.
It's intense, but yeah.
But yeah, I've seen girls that have dealt with like parents being divorced, and then they're trying to fill that void with something. Like I've seen where the father is not in the household, and she was struggling, so she tried to fill that void with boyfriends, and it became where like she wanted to fill that void, and every time one would follow, it would be a couple months before she had another one, and she would just try to fill that void that he left for her, and then she would put them on the throne of her heart because she didn't want to be left alone again.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is such a hard thing to go through, but that void cannot be filled by man. It has to be filled by God, or else it's going to stay fragile, and it'll be like sand at the ocean, ready to wash away at any moment.
I find it interesting that you bring it up, because that's a very popular reaction to these type of circumstances. But I also think there's a lot of girls and guys that have the opposite reaction. So like some people search for the void, and some people just shut themselves down completely and don't let anybody in. And it's just interesting that you mentioned that, because it's rooted by the same thing, right? You don't have a father in your life, or even a mother, depending on who you are. You're in a one-parent household, either through divorce, through separation, and then stems from that, the enemy comes in, and he's like, okay, let me just create all the lies I can from the situation. And kids most times react in two different ways. They either go seeking to fill that void through men, women, depending on who they were hurt by, who they felt abandoned by, or they completely shut themselves off from
and build a wall and a stronghold.
Exactly, against all people, friendships, relationships, and then specifically men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think to what you were speaking on, I think people will just attempt to find love and acceptance and validation anywhere they can. Yeah. And then what you were talking about, it's like people just want to, and it's in that same sense, you just want to feel protected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a false sense of protection, but you kind of put these walls up in this idea of like, okay, if, like I said before, if I don't let them close to me, they can't hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Divorce.
Because we kind of touched on all the questions I did have written down, but let's just get deeper on the track we're already on. Sure. So what kind of, I mean, of course you could say, oh, God healed me through the pain, helped me through the pain. Well, it's still a healing process from what it sounds like. What is God doing in your heart right now on like, that is like kind of rerouting this root of feeling rejected? You said you were delivered from rejection just about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And And I do think that maybe this has a part to play in it. So like, what is God doing in you that is kind of spur on any listeners or other people who are dealing with stuff related to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think about him and I'm just like so floored, like of like who he is, and just like that he cares like about all this stuff. Like he cares about like the pain that you feel. He cares about the pain that I feel, and I think that's, I would just say to anybody that feels like any of the feelings that we're kind of talking about, I would just say like really like submit to God. And I don't mean this to sound cheesy, but just like, just pray more. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but actually like open the Bible. Like I had to open the Bible and read the Gospels and be like, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because this is the God that I gave my life to, so who is it? And what was he like? And what did he say to people? And how did he carry himself? And I think to speak to where I'm at right now, it's just learning how to be that, and frankly to keep boundaries, because there are still certain things in my life and relationships that could be unhealthy, and so as an adult, now I have the authority of my own life to have a say on like who gets to speak into what, you know what I mean? So now it's learning how to do that, which is not fun, because it's like with certain people that on paper, you shouldn't have to have those relationships with and those kinds of boundaries and guards up. But yeah, just learning how to do that too. But yeah, I don't want to, I hate to make it sound like just pray more, but like just get to know him, you know what I mean? Because he is the perfect reflection of a father, of a friend, and frankly, when we leave this earth, he's going to be our roommate, So like, we're going to have to be with him forever anyway. And that's a pretty good deal that I'm taking. So
heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to, I think it's important to know the judge before judgment day. I think that's it's important to know the God of the universe and have a relationship with him before you have to face him one day. And I feel like that goes, I want to talk about what you were just talking about. We're going to spend the rest of our lives with him. And so it's important to know him and dive into the Bible and to just learn more about him, and having that relationship will, in turn, spending time with him will fill that hole in your heart and fill any voids that may have been left by only having one parent in the household, or even having both, and you still have that void in your life. Because like I had both of my parents, and I still struggled with many things, and still had problems and voids that I tried to fill with approval and perfectionism and pornography, and dealing with many things with addictions. But the only thing that's ever been successful in filling that hole was God and a relationship with a Jesus. And I feel like that's such an important thing to dive into, like you were saying.
Yeah. If I can just read this came to mind.
Go for it.
Of course.
I had it on my heart last night and then I almost forgot.
Look at you, brought it. You brought your Bible.
I did. It's new.
Nice.
It's not a new one. But this is Romans 8:15. It says, "So you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. Instead, you received God's Spirit when he adopted you as his own children. Now we call him Abba, Father. For his Spirit joins with our spirit to affirm that we are God's children. And since we are his children, we are his heirs. In fact, together with Christ, we are heirs of God, of God's glory. But if we also share in his glory, we must also share in his suffering." So just like I said, like, it's a very spiritual thing and I hate to keep making it sound like that, but he just to actually believe that too, of like that he's adopted me, like I'm now his own, it's signed, like you said earlier, like it's signed, sealed, and delivered, like, I am his and he's mine,
Yeah.
This is random, but I just thought of it as a question. Do you think because you didn't have much of a basis of faith in your life before just being brought up, that it was easier to cling to the idea of God as your father?
I think so. Yeah. I was just whatever, like I'm all in, you know, like I had no theology to unlearn. I had nothing, you know, I was just like, I'm in, you know?
Yeah.
And I think just coming into a place where like I was taught identity. Like when I came to praise, like that's what they were teaching about, like who we are because of what Christ did, you know? And so to come into that place too, I think was super helpful. And then like, you know, Brian started a youth group and I was around, and like Brian's no joke, you know, like he's like, I don't care how old you are, like I'm going to tell you straight up. So it was like, you know, I'm 15 in this youth group and just like, okay, you know, and I mean, Michaela was there and I met some great people and I think that's important too, is just surrounding yourself with like-minded people and people to encourage you too. Yeah. You know, and people to speak truth, you know, because those lies and those thoughts can feel very loud. Oh yeah. So to just have people to be like, no, you're not alone. You know, no, you're not abandoned. Like I'm here, you know, and just to have people to help you combat those things too. Yeah. Because it is warfare.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like before I had all my brothers and sisters in Christ who were all my best friends, I felt so alone and didn't have anyone to call me out on those lies from the enemy. Whereas like now, I have that guy over there, Chris, one of my best friends. He calls me out on so much, and it's awesome. And I love him so much. And like everyone here, I know I can trust with all my issues. And it's just, you need to build a space where people, you have a healthy enough relationship to know that they love you so much, yet they can still like call you out and tell you what is a lie from the enemy and what versus what is your own thought. I think that's important as well, knowing that not all of our thoughts are our own and that some of them are lies from the enemy, and being able to discern that and stand firm in what you know is incredibly important in dealing with something like this. And like we were talking about earlier, the lie from the enemy saying that your behavior dictates like a period of calmness. But that's a lie from the enemy, and it is not your fault. And I feel like that is such an important thing to know, especially when you're coming into like being a Christian, because the devil will just attack you more and just hit you harder because you are nearing the truth and building a relationship with God. And so surrounding yourself and building that firm foundation is incredibly important.
Yeah, I think that's important to highlight that when you learn a truth or when it's revealed to you and you like receive that, for example, with your example where you were like, I'm going to be calm so that everybody else is calm. And then you receive the truth of that. It doesn't mean that you're never going to have that thought again or you're never going to experience that again. So it's like remembering that, you know, I mean, we're told to resist the enemy and he will flee from you. There's a reason why we're told to resist him, because he's going to try and try again. And there's a point where he will flee, even if it's just for a time. But it's to remember that, like, this is a race. This is a fight. There's armor that we can put on. It's, like, not something that, like, we're participants in this, you know? And, I don't know what else to say. But, it's not a one-time thing. We have to, like, continue to edify each other and bring those things into the light, like share them with each other, because in your mind, there's only like you in there, Holy Spirit, and then sometimes when the enemy will throw things in there too. So
and the devil left for and we'll come back for a more opportune time.
I will say we are 43 minutes in, so we're getting close to the end. I do want to say something, but it's a little long. So is there any more wisdom you'd like to drop?
No.
I'm good. No, because I was thinking about when I asked you that question, because I found it, because I had a basis of what God was and who he was beforehand. Like just even on a shallow level, I still did. It was so and still is hard to really acknowledge, like think of God as a father. And like, audience. I'm kind of like talking to the audience.
Dude,
Move my head-
every
audience.
episode, your
Our
head turn
live
is
studio
awesome.
It just breaks. I snap my neck. No. I just like, because I know, I just like kind of felt it like if someone is watching this and it's like, okay, but I find it so incredibly hard to view God as the image of a father, especially maybe their circumstance was different. Maybe this, whoever like is listening had this had this thing take place where it's their view of father is completely shattered. They not only maybe they got neglect, abuse, both.
Yeah.
And it's just now, even with the basis they have, they're like, okay, but how can I trust God? You can. And in the short of it, you can. And it sounds crazy because I finally am walking it, even years as a Christian, I'm finally just now walking into the like accepting God as my father. Like my thing is what God recently exposed in my life, just recently, is I am afraid of intimacy, like with God. Intimacy in general, intimacy with God, because I do not have that trust with my own dad, and I'm not used to feeling what it's like to be protected. So like just to whoever's out there like has similar situations, God is your father. He does care about you and love you tremendously. And it's scary, but he is willing to walk through with you in this time to really just develop an understanding of who you are and who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And if God is love, then he's patient. He's kind, you know?
Yeah.
So he's patient with us when we're figuring that out too.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's us that we need to worry about.
Yeah.
Like we get in the way so often.
Yeah.
Our own selves, our
Yeah.
own perception of ourselves.
I think it just came to my mind. I know Pastor Brian talks sometimes about how when he first started to really have a relationship with the Lord, he wrote down a couple, I think it was like 2 verses that really stuck out to him and that really attacked like the lies he was hearing about his identity. He put them, I think, on a Post-it, or I'm sorry, an index card. Does that sound familiar to you? And kept it in his pocket, in his wallet. Or
Yeah.
like
I've heard
just
stuff
having,
like that.
it's okay it's okay to like choose verses that you feel like edify you in this time and keep them around you, like on your mirror, on your screensaver, like in your pocket.
Yeah,
on a
and
piece
it
of
will
paper.
help to keep you with that armor on and help you stand firm in those verses. That will help you through that season.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now we're 47 minutes, almost 50. This went by fast. This went by really fast. But I want to thank you,
Yeah.
Lexi, for
It was
coming
fun.
on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You had
Thank
fun?
you for having
I'm
me.
glad you had fun. Now
Yeah.
you can listen to yourself.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm going to do that.
You should. They make us listen to
Oh
ourselves.
yeah, I listen to
They
myself.
They do. They make us listen to ourselves.
Michaela, no, I'm kidding.
This is why I'm hardly on, because then I only have to skip like,
You know what? That was a smart tactic. Unfortunately, me and Sawyer do not have that. Do not have that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's weird watching the first couple episodes. I don't like the first couple episodes. I like the later stuff where we get more in our stride. But of course, I know that's
You had to start somewhere.
insecurity from like the enemy, and I know that like you said, you gotta start somewhere, and that I am doing better than I was, and that I am can see that improvement now, and
Very
hopefully
much.
other people can as well. Specifically, you, Jeff.
Well,
yes. we
yeah,
can
I
all
mean,
see that.
honestly, like as a dedicated fan,
and the people on MySpace.
Yeah.
On MySpace.
Oh,
yeah, like,
MySpace.
I mean, I watch it every Wednesday when I'm sitting at my desk doing work, and Morgan is sometimes over there working in the next room over, and even the other.
You work here?
No, I don't work here. Morgan works with me at my
Morgan
at my
has 2
office.
jobs.
She has 2 jobs?
Yeah.
2 jobs.
Yo.
Anyway.
I didn't know that. I just acted like I did.
Bro.
I did the same thing again. I did that on another episode where I was like, yeah, you didn't know that? And just mess with her where I didn't know it either.
Don't get in my head. Okay, continue.
But yeah, we were saying like
didn't know Morgan had 2
even
jobs.
though when season 1 was still
Yeah.
airing, that like you guys just within the concept of one season have improved so much. So like you guys are doing so well. Like just even the way you speak, like you can kind of tell like with what you're saying is like after a couple episodes, you're really like hitting it. So you guys are doing really good.
I
You
appreciate it.
don't have like the nervous sweats anymore.
No, I still do.
Okay, well,
You.
Every time.
well, you don't look like you do.
Oh, I don't?
No.
No, I don't look like Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like
to
encourage you, I'd still watch it, and like God will even point out things that you didn't get the first time, and be able to use that in like another scenario, or like if we brought you back and had another topic to talk about, you'd be able to use that and give more information off of what God gives you after listening to yourself again. So. Yeah, just encouragement.
Yeah.
So.
50 minutes in. Would you like to close us out in prayer?
Divorce.
That was an excellent episode about.
Oh, man.
Divorce.
All right. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much just to even have the opportunity to come share on here. And Lord, I just ask for even our listeners, God, that they, I just hope that they found some hope and something to cling to. In this, God, and that it would just spur them on to know you more, to love you more. And God, I thank you that you take the broken and you make it beautiful. So Lord, I just bless you and thank you for who you are in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Apple Podcasts, MySpace, that's not real.
Spotify, TikTok, Facebook,
and Instagram. Follow at Faith Like Birds. If you haven't already, it'd kind of be weird if you've been like watching all of this and still haven't. But to each their own.
You mean like how
Jeff.
2 days ago you started following us on Instagram?
That is funny. Ayana Cruz. She just said that would be weird. She just followed our Instagram 2 days ago.
I like to be a little private.
Sure.
I can't help it. Don't be like me.
Don't be like Ayana.
Bro, I seriously looked at it and I thought I was following it, and then I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, I'm helping running this stuff, and I don't follow on my personal account. It's okay.
I've been following since day one.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. I only follow meme pages and a few people.
Anyways,
It's been lovely.
God bless you, everybody.
Love y'all.
We love you all.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
again.
thank you.
Yeah.
And we are done.
Later, Jeff.
Goodbye.